Whenever you're working with a sensor that has a high output impedance or a very low output current, the amplifier that you connect to it can easily load it down and steal some of the signal range. So it's really important that you hook it up to an amplifier that itself has a high input impedance and very low bias current that doesn't change much over time, because errors from those two things are really hard to calibrate out. The ADA4530 addresses these challenges. It has a very low input bias current at room temperature, and the input bias current has very low drift. We also production test it at 2 different temperatures to guarantee that. It also has a really high input impedance. And those 3 things together mean that you can work with a smaller signal from your sensor, which could be that you're looking for a smaller concentration of a chemical, or that you're working on a very small sample volume. The ADA4530 has an integrated guard ring driver, and that guard ring driver protects your sensitive analog inputs from any kind of stray leakage currents on the board itself, and means that when you're in production and you're in a real-life system, you'll get the performance that you need to make those very small measurements. That's a feature that doesn't exist on competing products in the market today. By simplifying a lot of the circuit, having that guard ring driver, keeping the bias current stable over temperature so you don't need compensation, those things help shrink the overall system size. And there is a big demand in that market to get more and more instruments that are smaller and portable, so you can take that kind of analysis right to the sample where maybe you can change the effects, as opposed to having to bring the sample all the way back to the lab. A lot of industries have to use sensors like this in chemical analysis sorts of applications. And you see that not only in research labs where they're developing new pharmaceuticals, but also in production environments. Like in an oil refinery, they'll use a chemical analysis type of technique like spectroscopy or spectrometry. These sorts of applications use sensors like photodiodes and Faraday cups that tend to have either high output impedance or a very low current that you're trying to measure accurately. The ADA4530 gives you those super accurate measurements to measure very, very small signals in a way that protects that signal from outside interference. That guard ring driver, the low temperature drift, those are the things that make that same measurement possible over and over again in lots of different situations with a high degree of repeatability.